And hello, everyone. This is Daniel with the Legacy of Daniel show. And today we are on the Balance of Powers show. And this is a very important uh, show. And we talk about things like the First Amendment. We're going to talk about Supreme Court cases that revolve around free speech, the First Amendment. We're going to talk about what free speech is, what the First Amendment is, what it really means, and what I believe the founders truly meant, and how we all can actually begin to actually truly believe in the First Amendment, right, and use it to its full potential to make our speech truly free. I believe very 100% in free speech, and I believe that these public platforms, to a certain extent, um, while I do believe they have their right to um, have a bit of a say on how speech is, uh, I guess, being portrayed, perhaps through their platform, because it does kind of reflect on them a little bit of what kind of language and is being allowed on their platform. But on the other hand, um, maybe there should be a means to educating or finding a way to encourage users to edify their speech, their language, and in a way that, yes, it could still be a critique. You could still be pointing out maybe some flaws, things that are wrong, or questioning legislation. But how we came to a point where we just start basically defaming and slandering people, bullying people through these social platforms and journalism is just quite an absurdity, and in my opinion, is not what the founding fathers intended with the First Amendment right. And so, I guess really, how do we kind of turn about this speech, this language, this ideology of what the First Amendment is for? And in my opinion, I think individuals should not only take or truly have their right to speech, all forms of speech, but they should, more importantly, have the right access to coming to a better understanding of the First Amendment, what its intentions are, and how you can go about making sure that your speech, all forms of speech, are perhaps edifying uh, and speech in a way, speak or manifested, presented in a way that, yes, can be more inclusive to all types of people, so that speech then becomes edifying, it becomes courageous, and begins to break down barriers instead of building up barriers. Because when we start building up barriers, it impairs free speech, it impairs creativity, it makes people weak, and it makes certain people stronger, taking away the balance of power that needs to exist in society, which partly exists through speech, through competent speech. And when there isn't this competent speech in society, or or leaders or other members of society that are educating or providing an environment where language, speech, dialogue, conversation, through its own being, that it itself can teach individuals how to speak in an edifying way that turns about their life onto something that's more prosperous and more beautiful, and brings about a balance in their life so that they can better engage in society against various ideas, and in doing so, they can strengthen themselves and they can strengthen the other without giving up their identity, without giving up their religion, their faith, or any power, not giving up any space to someone else who may just be more powerful, more boastful in their speech. Generally, from my experience in life, it seems that these people that are more boastful in life are seeking power through their language, through their speech, through their dialogue, through the words they use. And it's perfectly 100% acceptable for them to do that. But what we need is now a counterbalance to that, and that is truly where the First Amendment right comes into play. But it only really truly comes into play when we truly know how to use it, when we understand speech, and we can participate in speech coherently to, let's say, peacefully and rationally discuss ideas and express our identity, our religious faith, or whatever it is maybe we want to express, however we deem appropriate. Yes, there needs to be a bit of a line on how we express ourselves with verbally or physically. I do believe if speech is not edifying or courageous, um, that it's very dangerous because now you're just building a weaker society. And then the question is are you doing this intentionally? If you are intentionally speaking in a way, it's very dangerous. And so when these platforms start kind of watching this language, it's just like if this language is being spoken with the intent just to uh, trying to overpower other individuals, well, then there needs to be a balance. There needs to be a counter to that. Um, should users just be canceled and stuff like that? No, there really shouldn't be canceling or any rallies against people to shut people down. But there needs to just there needs to be a strengthening of the dialogue that counters the speech so the conversation can continue on and both parties can continue on strengthening themselves and hopefully strengthening the conversation so it doesn't just turn into a slush fund of words and everyone just throwing haymakers at one another and just waiting to see who capitulates. And that's really the game we're playing right now. It's just the attrition capitulation game with words. And what we need is a leader or some type of legislation that encourages the more dialogue, more speech in in public schools. There needs to be more speech. It needs to be almost like physical education, which is mandatory. There should be speech and dialogue classes that should be mandatory so that people can begin to speak coherently, and as they speak, they can come to better understand themselves. They can better accept other ideas, become more inclusive, which is one of the reasons why I think we have such a hard time with dealing or being more inclusive, is because no one truly understands speech. And speech is a very, very difficult thing to understand, and trying to control it or manipulate it is very dangerous, and that's when people start fighting back. And so we need a society that is willing on both sides to truly begin taking the steps to make progress in their speech, in their conversation, their dialogue, for it to be more edifying, not so boastful, not so overpowering, and that hopefully nurtures an environment where a more beautiful speech, conversation, dialogue can come about and turn about this nation, this society, as many individuals as possible into further prosperity.